Hello, good morning to you, and many thanks for joining us. You're watching Galaxy today, coming to you from Galaxy Television. We trust you had yourself a wonderful weekend. My name is Justin Akadome.
And he is with Uche Onyekuruji. Like you rightly said, hope you had a good weekend. It's Monday, the 26th of March 2018, and we're looking at Dapchi Girls' return, looking more about ensuring safety in schools. And we hope that there will be more educating and, of course, expository.
Yes, in the wake of the return of the schoolgirls on Wednesday last week, a whole lot of controversy has triggered that development with reactions and counter-reactions from opposition party, from civil society, from the military, and of course from ordinary Nigerians. So we're looking at that, and plus all the issues concerning internal security, and the president stands on giving an amnesty to repentant Boko Haram members. All of those issues we'll discuss on the program this morning. Welcome once again, and we will just dive right into it. We have a guest here in Lagos.
Yes, our guest in Lagos, as we have here, is Justice Uwegbu, a lawyer. And of course, like he rightly said, we'll be joined by Ibadan and Abuja in between or in the course of the program. Good morning.
Good morning.
Justin, it's good to have you. All right, so we're looking at the return of Dapchi Girls. There's been good news since they returned for about a week now. But aside of that, there's still this controversy about Leah Shaibu, who is yet to be released. To some, she's been released, and to others, there's this controversy. But we're looking at the safety now. From what we've read so far, parents said they do not want their children, their girls, back to Dapchi school. And the federal government insists that these girls return to the federal government school where they were kidnapped from. In your own opinion, do you think is a fair thing?
Well, it is actually not the government, so to say, that will determine for a parent where the children will go to school or where your child will go to school, especially when there have been issue of security, insecurity. Mm-hmm. So if the government, they are insisting, you see, we don't actually know what is happening in this country, because if you watch the environment, the polity, there have been a lot of controversy concerning the adoption. In fact, some people are of the opinion that it was stage managed and thereabout. The government should be very careful not to send a signal, you know, indirectly telling Nigerians or the world that that allegation is true. Because if somebody said, I am not coming here because I feel my life is in danger, and you are not telling that person, no, you have to, which means there is an ulterior motive. It's either ab initio, something never happened, or something happened that you are aware of, and now you are insisting you must go. Who is the federal government to determine to a parent where your child will go to school? It is, in fact, it is unheard of.
Okay, just to...
Are they going to school free? Is that school free? Let us know. Let them tell us. That school, is it free? They are feeding, they are clothing, everything. Is it free? Even if it is free, you still have the right to decide and determine. If you give me food and I say I don't want, is it by force?
Okay.
So okay. It's really ridiculous.
All right, just to butt into what you said about security now, we heard about one David Bako saying that he was one of the people who was involved in the kidnap of these girls, and they were paid 80 million naira, even when the public relations officer for Nigerian Army has come to declare that there's no one like David Bako. And also, we also have reports that the Dapchi girls' parents disclosed that they didn't want their children back to school after Vice Chancellor of Nigeria Turkish National University, Professor Hussein Sat, offered to award scholarships to the schoolgirls to pursue their education. So there are two questions in one now. I can understand why the parents want a better life for their children, and also the angle where we have a David Bako claiming that the kidnap was staged. in order to prove that this present government is working?
You see, that was what I said earlier. Thank God for social media. Because a lot of things today are in the public domain through the social media. But when my father was alive, he told me something. He said there's no smoke without what? A fire. In every rumor, there will always be an element of truth. I think the people's court, that is the masses, we have a duty to investigate that allegation, because that allegation is not just like that. It's a grave one. It's everywhere. It's in the public domain. The government, they are aware. In as much as I know, they have come to refute such allegation and all the rest. But the masses must have to be careful at this point in time. Because if actually is a fact, why using such thing as a gameplay? Are there not some other things you can do to attract people's sympathy or favor than doing that? But when you look at the surrounding circumstances and the scenario, in as much as we are still somehow doing private investigation about that allegation and all the rest, you might begin to ask the question. At this point in time, when we know we have serious security challenges in the country, I don't think there is any school, any boarding school, anywhere in any part of this country that do not have internal security. Apart from the police, the military, and all the rest. There's no school you go today, even the day schools, that you don't see internal security. Even a gate man. Now, the question is this. Where were the gate men? Where were the security apparatus of the school? Have they been interviewed to actually know whether such thing took place or not? If it took place, how did it happen? You see, you don't build scrapers in the sky. There must be a Lexus somewhere. There must be a connection.
Okay.
If something happens, there must be a link. There must be a trace. So, and that is why when you look at it holistically, you begin to see certain things and the reaction of the government towards this thing.
Okay, Barrister, we'll come to you, but we're just getting signals that we need to go to Ibadan right now. We're being joined by Professor Stella Odebode. She is the focal person for Gender Mainstreaming Office at the University of Ibadan. Many thanks for joining us on Galaxy today. My question specifically would be that since you are a gender advocate, let's look at what the parents of the schoolgirls now are going through, specifically the mothers. You know, with all the reactions trailing now, they don't want to return to school because they've been so indoctrinated by the Boko Haram insurgents who say that if they go back to formal education, they will not be safe. In the wake of all of this now, what should the parents be doing? Listen to the Boko Haram insurgent, or should they look for alternatives for their children's education?
Much. Parents should not be discouraged. I think parents should allow their children to go to school. This is Nigeria, where we have human rights, as part of our constitution. Each person has the right to become what he or she wants to be. So parents should just make sure they insist on their children going to school, no matter the brainwash, no matter what anybody has said. This is Nigeria, where each one has a right to be what he or she wants to be. So those children, though they may not have enough money or so, but once we have people wanting to help these children, why not? Let them be allowed to go to school. We have fundamental human rights in Nigeria, and this should be enforced. Thank you.
issue. If they go to school now, who is responsible for their security? You know, I mean, I'm sure that like our barrister said here in the office, there must be some internal checks, security checks by the school. But the Boko Haram insurgent allegedly still came there and you know moved them away. Who should be in charge of security? If they have to go back to the same school in the wake of statement everywhere going on everywhere that statement on self, you know, defense. Should the parents be in charge of their own children's safety? Who should they, you know, put the responsibility on?
Thank you very much. I think the parents also have the right to make sure their children are safe. Put them in schools where you could go to check. They might not necessarily be in a boarding school. They might go for a day school so that they at least will also be educated. I think the government also should be responsible. Now these children, we know they have been they have been affected, but I think that they need to encourage them. Encourage them by providing enough security to take care of them in schools. And students and children, I mean the parents too, should also be responsible to make sure they keep an eye on their children so that nothing touches any of these children. I want to encourage parents, allow your children to go to school. Tell the children that the fact that they said they will be molested or whatever it is, they should ignore all of this and ensure that these children have formal education. We need that in Nigeria. Thank you.
I'm still on that note about them and being educated. Of course, the parents want the children, according to reports, they want them educated, but not back to the same school where they were kidnapped. And then the federal government is saying that they should go back to the federal government school, same school where they were kidnapped. Now, the question is, the parents are willing to relocate their girls. And the federal government is saying that they should be back to the school where they were formerly kidnapped. Would you as a parent agree to such arrangement?
I don't think I will agree to such an arrangement where I put my children and in the first instance they were abducted. Why should I be interested in taking them down to that same school? That's what I'm telling you. In Nigeria, we have the right, you know, it's part of our constitution. You have the right to be what you want to be. There is fundamental human right, which I think is applicable in this instance. So I want to encourage and maybe suggest to the government that they should not enforce them to go back to the same school if they are not interested. There are other federal schools, not in that same state, in other states, in other places where children should go to. It's not by force. Even if you are, my own children I cannot force my children to by force go to a particular place, not to talk of the government now. They have the right to safeguard these children. And if there is no other reason behind this, I think parents should be allowed to take their children to wherever they want their children to go to school. Thank you.
I want you to also react to a comment and statement going around which have gone viral in the past few days concerning a specific sergeant in the army who claimed that the entire abduction was staged, managed, plus the army coming out to say that they said personnel is not part of them. In the light of all of this, do you think that statement of the army should just be swept under the carpet, or do you think we should actively investigate the issues that come out of all of this?
Yeah, I think yes, if possible, we could investigate. But since nobody knows, all these things are rumor, we should not just allow it to go down that way. It could be investigated. I think it's a good idea. But since we are not there, we didn't know what happened. If rather it was state managed, nobody can say because we did not see it, and nobody can just preempt all of that. So, but I think such a case should be investigated. As I have said, Nigerians should wake up at this time to know that we should make Nigeria proud outside the country. Nigeria should be a place where you can just do what you want to for the development of this country. It should not be a place where you cannot speak because some people want to stage manage certain things or they want something to happen. It is not done. It should not be allowed. Thank you.
Professor, one final question for you. When the president received the cheaper girls, the Dapchi girls, last week, he made a statement that the federal government will be willing to grant amnesty to repentant Boko Haram, which is against what they said in the first instance, that they will not be negotiating with this insurgent. In your opinion, is this a step in the right direction?
I can say that I don't think the issue of this issue I've just talked about is right. It's not right. I think Nigerians should learn from what's going on in other developed countries where we have such a thing going on. We could learn from them to make, at least it's a developing country, and we should just learn to know what to do when this kind of a thing happens. I don't think that it should be a case of wanting to negotiate. What are you negotiating? Negotiating what in your own land? So the issue of negotiation, I don't know. I don't think it's right. But I think we could learn from what's going on in other developed countries. You see, I want to tell you the negative aspect of all these things happening in Nigeria. You cannot go to other developed countries. The way they look at Nigerians, the way they view our views, the way they take note of whoever is from Nigeria is really shameful. So I think the issue of negotiation is not the case. If I were to, in my own opinion, I think that Nigeria is a place where everybody should be free, And so when you are negotiating your rights, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. The issue of negotiation is not the issue. We should know that as a developing country and as a place where you have the right to be free for peace, you go anywhere, you are safe. I think it's not a thing to be negotiated.
All right, we must say a very big thank you to our guest from Ibadan. We've been speaking with Professor Stella Odebo, the focal person for gender mainstreaming office at the University of Ibadan. It is still Galaxy. Today we are looking at the Dapchi schoolgirls' returns and all the issues arising. Feel free to interact with us and be a part of this conversation. Join us by sending an SMS. The number is now displayed on the screen. Or you can interact with us via our various social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, using the hashtag Galaxy Today. We still have Barrister Justice Uhegbu, a human rights lawyer. We'll be right back to speak some more with him after taking this report. To join us again.
There is a live interview. There is a live interview.
Let me emphasize our administration's commitment to the fight against terrorism and insurgency. We are determined, as never before, to bring back our remaining Chibok daughters, and this we must accomplish, and that will be soon by God's grace. While further efforts are being made to secure the release of every abducted student in Nigeria, government is ever ready to accept the unconditional laying down of arms by any member of the Boko Haram group who shows strong commitment in that regard. We are ready to rehabilitate and integrate such repentant members into the larger society.
To you, the released Dapchi schoolgirls, I wish to inform Mr. President that 105 out of the 111 female students abducted from Government Girls Science Technical College Dapchi on the 19th of February 2018 were released
2 days ago, following painstaking back-channel dialogue with their abductors. However, before you today, Mr. President, are 2 additional young primary school pupils, namely Hafsat Haruna, 11 years old, and a primary 6 pupil, and Mala Maina Bukar, 13 years old, also a primary 6 pupil. The remaining 6 Dapchi girls are yet to be accounted for, and dialogue on these students is still ongoing.
Bashir AJ, a study student of GGSTC Dapchi. On behalf of all of us, we want to thank you for saving our life and bringing out of life. God's blessing you, sir.
Oh, the release of the Dapchi girl, I think, is a fantastic Wednesday gift from God. On Wednesday, God has brought to an end over 30 days of sleepless nights we have experienced as members of the National Assembly and as citizens of Yobe State, and the good people of Yobe State generally. We all know the background, we all know what happened. So, in fact, we specifically want to thank Mr. President for being steadfast, for being focused, for giving the right directives without any contradiction, and the directive has worked.
Gratitude goes to Almighty God, and we are grateful to Mr. President and the Governor of Yobe State and our security agencies for all the efforts that they put together to ensure the safe return of our daughters. And we are grateful to all Nigerians for their prayers and support. Alhamdulillah, we are grateful to God.
Actually, today, I'm very, very so happy.
All right, welcome back. It's still Galaxy today, and we're still focusing on the Dapchi schoolgirls return, ensuring safety in schools. We have Barrister Justice Owebu, a human rights lawyer, with us. I want us to look at the role of the Mama Boko Haram in all of this. If she was so instrumental in the release of the Dapchi girls, how come they've not been able, the federal government that is, not been able to utilize her skills and her resources, to help in securing the release of the former Chibok girls who have been in captivity for years now?
Well, I think I'm beginning to see the whole scenario as politics.
Who is playing politics?
Yeah, everybody is playing politics. The federal government is playing politics. The people involved are playing politics, apart from the students. Because in the first place is this: why must, assuming it was stage managed, why must you use such as a yardstick, forgetting that even in film acting there could be mistakes?
Okay.
It's just like what is happening now. We learned about 6 or 5 of them are still
5 are dead.
5 of them are still missing.
5 dead.
5 dead or something like that. So now when you look at the whole scenario, and if you look at, you see, I think we must investigate this matter properly. Because I keep on saying, looking at the whole scenario, is an open-ended issue that we should not just allow it to go like that.
Okay.
Because give or take, whether stage managed or real, there are germane questions and issues to be asked. Because one, we are still battling the issue of Chibok girls.
That's right.
Does it mean we've not learned our lessons? I don't think there is any school now, like I said before, that does not have its own security apparatus before even call for backup and all the rest in this country. There's none. So the whole scenario looks somehow. I think it has become an international embarrassment to this country, not nationally again. I don't know what we're thinking. Are we thinking that the international community will clap for us? Or are they going to keep on counting us as, are we going back to undeveloped nation or developing? Because these are things the international community will consider before doing certain things. Where are our policemen, the DSS, the military and all the rest? When do you need them? How do you make use of them? What about the what do you call it? The internal security intelligence. What is the duty of the SSS? Now the DSS. It's for internal security information, gathering intelligence before it happens. But our DSS here are now working like a routine police man that acts when a crime has been committed. But that's actually not their duty.
They're supposed to be proactive.
Their duty is for secret intelligence, so that you can stop certain things before they occur. And that is why they're everywhere. They're everywhere. They're in all the states, all the local governments, villages, and everywhere. So you want to tell me that with what we are going through in the country today, if such thing has happened naturally, there was no link, no information, no intelligence gathering and all that. Why are we even talking about the military?
Okay.
Why are we talking about the military? Is it their duty? It is the duty of the Nigerian police for the internal security of the country.
Okay, let's see if the Peace Corps agrees with that, because one of their core mandates, like we have been told, is that of securing of schools. We are now being joined by the Commandant of the Peace Corps. We have Ambassador Dixon Akol joining us from Abuja. Good morning to you, Ambassador Akol. Let us look at this issue of the Dapchi girls' return. What would the Peace Corps have done differently if they were the ones in charge of securing the schools?
Let me start by commending the President and Commander-in-Chief, President Muhammadu Buhari, the government security agencies, as well as the Yobe state government for the timely rescue of the Chibok girls. While commending them, however, want to register my reservations about the circumstances that led to their being kidnapped in the first place. We have stated it with time without number. Security of schools and colleges does not fall within the domain of the conventional security. If I talk about conventional security, I'm referring to the police, the SSS, and that is why I agree with the last speaker. In the first place, the DSS are supposed to be very, very proactive, not trying to be preventive. And I've said it before, a situation whereby our operative of the SSS can easily be identified on the street now poses a threat to the national security in itself. And when at the point that they start sewing uniform, putting on uniform with inscription DSS and people getting to know, I get to know that in civilized society, it is not done. And for the police now has resolved to move into schools and colleges with Civil Defense Corps to secure schools. The security and psychological implication on the life of our young students should also be taken into consideration. Ordinarily, we expected the police to remain, to maintain internal security and go back to their core mandate, which is to protect life and property. if they carry out, if they are able to execute their core mandate so well, the overbearing security role being played by the armed forces today won't be there. I was born and privileged to be born in the barrack, and as of the time that I was growing up in the barrack, especially 184 Infantry Battalion of Dupa, when the army is to enter the streets, there will be a sustained announcement for 1 week because people will feel threatened. But because of the weaknesses on the part of the police, now you see the army everywhere. For Peace Corps, the core mandate, one of the core mandates as contained in the bill that was passed, is for the Peace Corps to deploy officers and men of the Corps to schools and colleges. What are they going to school to do? To investigate the presence of crime, dubious character, suspicious movement, and report to the government so that the security agencies will come in. Could you imagine how trucks went into schools in Dapchi, arranged the female as if they are fish, or as if they are ants, took them all away from school without any security agencies being alerted? If Peace Corps was to be in schools, the Federal Ministry of Education, sensing the implication of leaving school open, initially gave approval, and the approval is still subsisting, for Peace Corps to post officers and men to all unity schools in Nigeria. But the police felt it's their job. I want to recall that when the Polish team came to Nigeria in Kaduna during the Junior World Cup to play the Under-17, a young man saw weapons being carried by the mobile police for the first time. That young man fainted. So it is not wise for us to say because it has happened we should deploy men, soldiers. The young people can easily copy lifestyles, and it has grievous implications. So what I would rather advise is that the police, the civil defense corps, should go to their primary callings, leave school and colleges. Not because a bill is being passed, you quickly started deploying. Now went to start amending your act in order to accommodate functions in schools and colleges. So what we should rather do now, in advanced society, there is a process where you have watertight security. It's not by conventional security. You either a youth-based organization or corporate security that will go into school to document movement of schools. When you bring students to schools, when you hand over the student to the school authority, and when you come to sign up these children. And there should be a eternal mechanism, security arrangement in view of the dynamic nature of security in Nigeria now, for parents to know at what particular time the student is moving from point A and B. If Peace Corps was to be in school today, we will have Peace Club. The Peace Club will enlist students, and these students in their respective classes will be telling us every hour the movement of students, the movement of visitors, the movement of intruders. And that is how government can keep happening within the school environment.
Ambassador, another question for you now, but now that you have clearly stated what the Peace Corps would have done in the Dapchi situation, we have a clearer understanding. But as it is right now, there's a controversy concerning the assenting of that PCB bill, right now to law. As it is right now, is there any negotiation or consultation with the House of Assembly, or National Assembly rather, on this particular issue?
It is unfortunate that the Nigerian Peace Corps bill was not assented to by Mr. President, because we look at beforehand, we have high expectation. We are very optimistic when this bill started that Mr. President will capitalize on the bill, on the Nigerian Peace Corps, to use it as a vehicle to accomplish his promises to Nigerian youth. During the electionary campaign, a promise of creating 3 million jobs annually was made by the APC-led government. And we were hopeful that for now, Peace Corps is not even up to 200,000. That government would take advantage of the Nigerian Peace Corps, and the fact that if you go to any environment today and you tell the youth you want to give them employment, you ask them, all of them will tell you that they want to join the Nigerian Peace Corps. Now, if democracy is all about public opinion and massive mass participation, during the public hearing, 578 memoranda were received, and out of this memoranda, only 4 kicked against completely the establishment of the Peace Corps. The police, the SSS, the Civil Defense Corps, and the National Security Advisor. The 2 issues that the president raised for not assenting the bill are the only submission that they made during the public hearing. That is these 4 agencies I mentioned. That means the president drew his conclusion from the advice and position of these 4 agencies. Furthermore, after Mr. President withheld his assent, public opinions were conducted by Nigeria poll. About 73% were in support of the president assenting. The Punch conducted 91% were in support of the president to assent the bill. The Nation conducted, also Vanguard conducted. All these public opinion, including even the Premium Times. If politics is about public opinion and participation, we had expected that the president would have taken the glory by assenting to the bill. We will continue lobbying not only the National Assembly, because democracy or politics generally is about...
All right, Ambassador Dixon Akro, I'm afraid that's as much as we can take from your end for press of time. We want to appreciate your input and your thought concerning the Dapchi schoolgirls return and, of course, ensuring security in schools. We'll be right back. My device is buzzing. A lot of Nigerians are reacting concerning this topic, and Justice Uhebu will still comment more. But first of all, let us take the IGP when he was talking about how schools can be secured in Nigeria. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
In company of the IGP, concentrate on your studies. Be of good conduct and behavior. Avoid negative tendencies in every format. You are here to protect the students so that they have peace of mind to face their studies, right? So they have peace of mind to concentrate on their studies. Obviously, I'm happy with the assessment. I've seen some today. I saw some in Borno State today because I visited some schools. I think almost about 3 schools in Astria Uba and in Borno State. And I went out, I spoke to the officers we deployed.
Welcome back. It's still Galaxy today. Dapchi schoolgirls return is our focus. A lot of Nigerians are reacting. This government knows they have failed us. So this Dapchi girls issue is a way of painting the blackboard white. This is Nigeria, and it's for all of us. Let's put the interest of our nation above every other. That's from Tinlet Kingsley from Ikotu. Before we take more comment, I want to hear from you. You heard the Peace Corps guide. You agree with his postulations?
Well, the truth is that I think the only way out is what I call sincerity of purpose. Let me tell you the truth. If the government is sincere, we can secure our environment.
Okay.
The Constitution, simpliciter, said that the main aim of government is for welfare and security of the citizens. The implication of that is this: it is the duty of the government to secure or to get the atmosphere and the proper mechanism for the security of its citizens. In addition to that, the government also is supposed to make security issues paramount in every school, right from nursery level, so that everybody will know about security. There should be a topic in the primary schools, secondary schools, on security techniques. Because one, if you want, form so many other groups tomorrow. If we are not sincere, we cannot achieve anything. Remember that as it is today, the Nigerian police has so much and enormous power that they control almost every security outfit in the country. Thereby making it impossible for any security outfit you create today to work and function solely independently without interference by the IG. If you remember, recently there is something trending on the social media that the IGP has ordered that all the vigilante, security, watch and all the rest that are using arms should go and drop it. Now, if you look at some of these things, you now ask yourself a question. If you continue setting up all these establishments, security companies and all the rest, they are still subject to the government. Unlike what happens in the Western world, where even security reports of an independent security officer will be valued. But today, report an incident to the police, suspect an incident, just suspect something and report to the police, you become the first suspect. You'll be incarcerated. And every day you keep on telling Nigeria that police is your friend. It's not possible. That's the problem we have. And that's why I talked about sincerity of purpose. When you report any incident now, when you report anything, any movement, which ordinarily as a citizen, it is part of your duty as a citizen. But today, if you do that, the hunter will become the hunted.
All right, more comments this morning. This one is from Nelson Wangpo from Port Harcourt. Parents should be allowed to take their children to any school of their choice, not government to decide for them. He writes us from Port Harcourt. That was Nelson. All right, more comments this morning. Okay, it's not right at all for federal government insisting that Dapchi girls going back to the same school. You didn't tell us where you're writing from, and just keep the comments flowing. And of course, you can also interact with us on our various social media platforms using the hashtag Galaxy Today. More comments. Please, sir, ma. These children were kidnapped in broad daylight. Then my question is, where were the teachers? Okay, how come there was, let me see if I can paraphrase, I'm trying to understand what you write. You were asking about how come there was no eyewitness and they were just taken away swiftly like that without anyone noticing. That's a good question he was asking. He says they were taken in broad daylight. I mean, there should have been teachers, there should have been people. How come no one raised any alarm?
You know, I said earlier that when you look at the scenario and the circumstances surrounding the whole drama, I call it a drama, because it's only in this country that such thing can happen. No link, no Lexus, no connection. Like the young man rightly said, we all went to school. At least this is supposed to be a secondary school where there is staff quarters, because they are all living there. And this can happen during the day when school is supposed to be in section. And there is also what they call staff room where teachers are, the principal. And it is not possible for you to go to any school. Mark this and mark my word. It's not possible for you to go to any school from the hours of 9 a.m. till around 2:33, thereabout, when school will be about closing, that you can never see any teacher in any classroom.
Okay.
Because teachers enter the classroom by period by period.
Yes.
I think during our time, I think it used to be 45 minutes or something like that.
Period, yeah.
So if actually you're kidnapping, teachers are supposed to also fall victim of this.
Okay, so at the bottom now.
Except if they were informed to stay somewhere. They are not coming for them. They are coming for... You see, my brother, I don't know. That's why I said, where are we going in this country?
Okay, so let's move under the assumption that it was actually staged. But in the process, 5 girls were lost in this. What legal compensation can the federal government actually give their parents?
Well, first of all, it's a government school. Under today, by our law, under the Fundamental Human Rights Enforcement, one can actually now institute a matter on behalf of a dead person. Yes, there is a recent judgment on that. And I think the parents of all sense of humanity and sadness, I condole with them, but I expect them to file a legal suit, a legal action against the federal government, because it's a federal school.
Okay.
Against the principal, the federal government, the board of that school, and whatever. Because one, whether stage managed or not stage managed, cost follows event. Something has happened. And let me tell you, anything that happens doesn't just happen. It must have occurred as a result of human error. Which means, in law, there's what we call negligence. If the principal or the school authority were negligent, the government itself were also negligent, which is in law what we call contributory negligence.
Okay.
So, they will succeed if they file an action, because it is your duty to provide security for people whom you're bringing to the school, confining them to a particular place for a period of time.
Okay, so who should be sued now? Who should the parents sue? The school?
They'll sue the school authority and also sue the federal government.
Okay, more comments this morning. Who are we to blame for the abduction of Dapchi and Chibok girls? The security agents, he's asking, he says, no, but politics today. All right, keep the questions and the comments coming, and we will take them. Also interact with us on our various social media platforms using the hashtag Galaxy Today. Dapchi girls to return to school, but parents have the right to dictate the school of their choice. The government should ensure that the right peg should be put in the right hole. There is an organization whose aim and objective are to protect schools. You didn't state who you are and where you're writing from. Will they listen to government on such ideas, despite all that has happened to those children? The parents have the right to do and undo on their children's state of learning. They could decide to change them totally. That's Hannah, who is writing from Iju here in Lagos. All right, just keep them, and we'll take them just before we round off on the show. Those were comments from Nigerians. A lot of people are saying, that the parents have the right to, decide to, move their children to other schools. But it raises one pertinent question. Invariably, what the parents might have on their minds is that they are no longer secure or safe in their own state, in their own houses, in their own homes. I mean, what does that really tell about our general security apparatus in Nigeria?
You see, truly speaking, let's look at it from two angles now, which I've always maintained. Whether stage managed or real, were the parents carried along? No. These children
so they still have genuine fear?
Definitely, we are there informed, assuming it's stage managed. No. Did you seek their consent? No. Which means you're acting.
They sought their consent. That would be like a
which means you're acting film with them without their consent. So if it is real, why would somebody in his right senses come out openly to suggest or even say that the parents have to return their children to that school after going through that trauma? Have you not heard about it saying that when a snake bites a child, when he sees the head of a lizard, he will start running? So what are we talking about? After all these things, left to me, the school should be closed down. Yes.
Okay, so
let me tell you.
But what good would that do?
No, you see, let me tell you one thing. Lord Denny said something in his judgment in the case of Packer against Packer. He said, until we start doing what we have not done before, we will remain standstill while the rest of the world moves on. We must start being proactive on certain issues. When things happen and we are sincere about it, we must take proactive measure and take a stand immediately so that to avoid a reoccurrence of such thing. Because you cannot place something on nothing and accept it to get balance. Okay. Lord Denny also said that it will definitely collapse. There's no two ways about it.
Okay, but if you're saying they should shut down the school, would you encourage them to embrace what this Turkish vice chancellor is giving to them, scholarship for education?
Why not the Scottish vice chancellor take them to another school, or build another school for them and provide security for them? There is Turkish school in Nigeria,
yes, in
Abuja. Let them give them automatic admission and grant them scholarship. You see, why are we even talking like this? Is it because you're not involved? Ojukwu wrote a book because I'm involved. My dear, if you find yourself in such a scenario, you will not talk like that. You see why the government agencies or some of these people in government will come out and talk anyhow? It's because they have not been directly involved in this kind of thing. If you're directly involved, you understand what it means to carry a dead body and you now mistake it to be a piece of firewood until you are involved. The trauma alone that you go through, the parents, the children, and is it this one, when something happens, they will give a child microphone. I thank the government for coming to our aid, blah, 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 blah. You did not tell Nigerians what you went to, except you are not telling Nigerians that where they kept you, they were giving you rice and salad and chicken.
Okay.
I remember that once somebody is kept somewhere without the person's consent, it has become forced imprisonment.
Yes, sir, but moving on, I want also look at it from the psychological aspect now. We've talked about them going back to school. Do you not think that they need some kind of rehabilitation, saying that it's been a traumatic experience for them?
Definitely, definitely. In fact, I felt that was one of the first things the government should have even done. Whether stage managed or not stage managed. Like saying before, even if it was stage managed, these children were not carried along. They were not told this is the script you're going to play or something like that. So they must have gone through a lot. If it was not state managed, they must have also gone through. Is it easy for a little child or a teenager to see people with gun or people with mask, people with loud voice,
the traumatic,
and all the rest? No, there is a lot of things that must have happened in those children's minds by now. So I believe that what the government should have done first, irrespective of whatever happened, how the thing happened, or that, is to take these children somewhere, give them a reorientation, make them believe in the country again, make them know that they have hope, they have future. That what has happened is a mistake. It could have been, look for one story, rekindle their faith again and their belief in the country.
All right, thank you, Justice. Just some few comments now to just wrap up. My name is Thomas Paul from Yobe State. I think it's the time Peace Corps brought back into schools. I think there's much to this Dapchi abduction than meets the eye. Certain persons are not saying the truth. It looks more of a stage-managed stuff. Tayo from Lagos. Let me see if I can just take one more. I'm Gloria America from Lagos. I want to ask, how come the girls were from the school, or the girls from the schools were without, I'm not getting this. Maybe you might need to rephrase that if you want us to take this. Okay, I think we are just out of time. But just keep the conversations flowing. If you have more comments, interact with us on our various social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using the hashtag Galaxy Today. Many thanks for being a part of the show. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for your feedbacks. We do appreciate them.
Exactly, and we had Justice Uhuebu, a lawyer, in the studio. We want to say thank you for being part of this program.
Thank you, this is my pleasure.
And in the course of the program, we had Professor Stella Odebode, Gender Mainstreaming Office, University of Ibadan, that is situated in Oyo State. And of course, from Abuja, we had Ambassador Dixon Ako, who is a Peace Corps commandant. Thank you so much for being part of the show. We'll do this same time again tomorrow. Do not forget that Nigeria is still our own country, so it's our duty to hold it up. All right, then, we'll meet again tomorrow. I'm Uche Onyekoloje. Do have a splendid Monday.
And I'm Justin Akadonye. Many thanks for being a part of the show. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.